Hi, Brew Tubers. It's Saturday, June 29th, and it is a brew day for me. Actually, this is take three. I've tried making two of these, and I keep sending. My phone wasn't recording on my SD card, and it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't have enough space, so I kept getting cut off. So, anyways, hopefully this one will record, and I'll try to not be as long-winded, but it looks like I'm not doing very good at that. Anyways, okay, here's the deal. It is like I said, the 29th of June. Here in the States, the 4th of July is our Independence Day, so it's a big day off of work and barbecues and fireworks and all that kind of fun stuff, and I'm out of beer. I had a Hazy Jane that I made that from Brewdog, the DIY dog, and it was so good that I went through it way faster than I imagined. I shared a lot of it, but drank a lot of it, and it was just a really good New England IPA. So there's a recommendation if you want to make a New England IPA. The Brewdog recipe is pretty good. I did that. I had an 80 shilling Scottish ale. It came out of the American Homebrewers recipe. There was one of their award winners, and a friend of mine, and I've brewed one before, it was great. It's a Bonnie Prince Charles 80 shilling. Really great recipe. And so he did another batch of that, and I got in on that. That keg just kicked the other day too, and I have a Dortmunder that I brewed a while back, but that's a beer that I've been wanting to make for a long time, and since it's a lager, I really don't want to rush it. I could probably, it's in secondary, it's lagering right now. I could probably, tap it. I could carve it and tap it and have it ready for the 4th for sure, because it tasted great when it went into secondary. I'm sure it's done fermenting, but I don't want to rush that beer, and so I really don't want to do that. So here's the deal. Time's short. I was at my brew club a week or so ago, and some guy had a Negro Modelo clone that he used the kviek yeast with. It's kviek. It's a Norwegian yeast. According to a UK friend of mine at the brew club who's researched how a Norwegian would say it, he says it's kviek, he says like an Australian would say kviek. And so anyways, apparently that's the pronunciation. Who knows? I guess it's stuck with me, so that's what I've been calling it. Anyways, those are supposed to ferment really fast and really clean and actually work good with lager recipes. So did some research on the Modelo Negro, and this beer that I had at Brew Club was awesome. Did some research on it. I do have a clone recipe in one of my 300 clone recipe books. I downloaded it it was on sale on Amazon for the Kindle ways back, and so I looked and it was there. But I did some research, and I found out that most of these Mexican beers, like the regular Modelo Especial and the Dos Equis and things, they're Vienna lagers, and the Negro is actually a Munich Dunkel, because I guess some German brewers or people of the German tradition went down to Mexico and started making beer, and so a lot of the Mexican beers are just German beers made in Mexico. So anyways, I did some more research for looking for a simple recipe, because I didn't want to do anything too complicated. Just wanted to pound it out and throw in the kviek yeast and let it ferment fast and have it ready by the 4th. And so in the Bible, in the Greg Hughes homebrew beer, there is a Munich Dunkel. So I decided to go with that. That's what I'm doing here today. Here's the deal, though. I don't know if I don't have the most sophisticated setup, and so every day I do a brew day. There's something happens that I don't expect, and I gotta stop rocking. I'm in a rocking chair. And something happens that's unexpected, and so I gotta adjust on the fly. Today is no exception. Mash temps are usually, because I have most of my other stuff I have pretty well down, but mash temps, some days I hit them right on, sometimes I don't. So let's take a look. I'll tell you what I did this time. Here's how I've been working. I got this turkey fryer that has an electric element. Look, it's boiling right now, so I guess I need to turn it down. It's got a heating element, an electric element that heats water, obviously. So I've been using it for a hot liquor tank. And then I do my brewing on gas. So I have my, using the old igloo cooler type mash tun. Okay, so the recipe called to mash for an hour at, let's see, what did it say, at 149 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I did all the calculations for grain temperatures and water temperatures, and I came out low. It came down to 144. And so I wanted to bump it up, and I pulled up the Modelo recipe, and it actually had a step mash to it. It said to start it out at like 122 for like 30 minutes and then bump it up to like 150 something. I think 150 even. I could be wrong, for like an hour. And in the Bible, there's a brewer tip that says to do a triple decoction mash is good for this style of beer. And the way they suggest doing that is basically you mash for a while and you draw a bunch out. It's really non-specific. That's one thing. I mean, this book is great. Don't get me wrong. But like, this is the one time I'm like, oh, a little more information would have been good. And since it's brew day and I'm on the fly, I'm not, don't want to take an hour and research stuff. So, but it says basically you pull, and it says pull the grains, like take a scoop right out of the mash, I think, and bring it to a boil and dump it back in and do that twice for a 3-step. I thought, I really don't want to do that. So here's what I did, right or wrong. My temperature was at 144.8. I want to be around 150 or 149 is what it's supposed to be. But knowing this whole decoction thing, I can play with it a little bit. What I did is I took this, I had a 4-gallon stainless steel pot, and I drained off about a gallon-ish, maybe a little more. And I actually took it, I had this thing, the temperature, anyways, there's water in it. And I just set it right in there like a water bath. I sent the pot right in there and I let it go. I just turned the dial up a little bit. That's kind of why it was so high. And I let it sit there for a while. And I set my timer for 30 minutes because that whole 30-minute business. And it brought up the temperature of that wort to 188. So I dumped it back in there. It gave me and mixed it in. It gave me a temperature of 154. So I left the lid off, stirred it for a little bit, brought it down to 150, and threw the lid back on, set my timer for an hour. So we'll see what happens with that. I didn't do a on the burner type warm up, and I didn't use the grains. I drained it off the grains, but brought it up, did kind of a step mash sort of. And so now it's in the process of mashing, and we'll see how it goes. And hopefully the rest of the brew day will go fine. It's real simple hop schedule. Basically just like a full boil, I think a 10-minute addition, 10 minutes left, and then a little bit, like a half an ounce at 10 minutes to go, then a half an ounce at flame out, and then cool down, and and then I'm gonna cool it down. I'm gonna rack it over. I got some Imperial yeast. They have a yeast called Loki, which is their kviek, and and then I'm going to pitch that. In fact, that's sitting out. It's in my basement, so it's sitting at it's warming up to about 70 degrees. Might be a little warmer than that down there because it's pretty hot here right now. And so yeah, I'm gonna I guess just see what kind of temperatures. I don't think it'll get much below 70 in my basement this time of year. So I'll probably just let it ferment out. Hopefully it'll go nuts for a couple days and be done in 3 or 4 days. Let's see, if today's 29th. 30th, was it 30 days in June? 30th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Yeah, so I got like 4 days. And 4 or 5 days if there's 31 days, I don't remember. January, February, March, April, May, June. No, it's 30 days in June. So, hopefully it'll pound out in 3 days like they say. I might actually keep the temps up a little bit for that, because it says the tolerance on this yeast is goes up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and so I mean theoretically I could ferment that stuff at 80 degrees and it would probably go nuts. So anyways, so yeah, that's the plan. Gonna do a quick 1 hour boil, cool it down, get it in the fermenter, pitch the kviek yeast, and hopefully it'll go nuts, and by the 3rd, I can throw it off into a keg and cool it down and carb it up. Maybe I'll carb it up the morning of the 4th. It's one of those things where the 4th is on a Thursday, and Friday's a day off work, and then we have the weekend. So I mean, if it's ready by firework time Friday night or the night of the 4th, and then the rest of the weekend, that's good enough for me because I got canned beer that I can drink up until then. But anyways, okay, so that's it, guys. Sorry to ramble on, but it's one of those situations where it's like, man, here it is, a crazy brew day, and I thought maybe you guys could relate. So I just thought I'd do a quick video. Sorry, there's no boiling or hop adding going on. This is more talking about mashing. But all right, we're about to hit the 10-minute mark. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Happy brew day, guys. Have a great weekend. Or it's a weekend now. So yeah. All right. Bye.